Hi, my name is Eric Stahl, and I'm going to take you through an announcement that Adobe and Salesforce.com just made about a new joint product called Adobe Flash Builder for Force.com. We're really excited about this announcement because it brings together two leading platforms. Everyone knows the Flash platform is great for building rich internet applications, and the Force.com cloud platform for building business apps and websites. Now that we've brought them together, it's never been easier to build rich internet applications that run entirely in the cloud. This is the development environment. It's a standard Eclipse IDE, and it uses the Adobe Flash Builder plugin as well as the Force.com IDE plugin and some other features that we put in there to make the two work really well together. Let's just start up a new project, and you can see here that instead of just the standard Adobe Flash and Flex kinds of projects, we now have a Force.com Stratus project type. We can give it a name. You can see here we can either build a web application or a desktop application that will run in Adobe Air, and that'll give us all of the offline capabilities, a local database, and the ability to sync data back and forth between our Force.com database and the local desktop application, which is pretty cool. The next thing we're going to see is it will ask for an enterprise WSDL, which is just the information it needs to access the Force.com API. Now, I downloaded the WSDL file from my Salesforce account a little earlier and put it on my desktop. So here it is. That's really easy to do. And when I do that, it now has all the information it needs to go log into my Force.com account, look at the data model, and bring in all the information it needs to make those look like local resources so you as the developer in this environment can code against them and bring them into your application and literally treat this as one integrated platform. So down here we can see our data services tab, and if I click on this data service menu item here, I can see accounts and contacts and leads and opportunities, all the things that you would expect within a Salesforce account. And if I double click on that, I can see the fields on each of these objects, I can see the data types, and then I could just very quickly go into the components window and literally drag and drop things like a data grid or a date chooser or checkboxes and images and buttons and all kinds of things that I need in my user interface, and then very easily bind them to my back-end data objects. So it's really fast and easy to build these applications, whether they're online browser apps or offline or occasionally connected desktop apps. All right, so let's take a look at some examples of the kinds of things you could do with this. So this is the Salesforce Sales Cloud application where your call center agents can be opening and closing cases, or you can be managing your customer portal. But someone took the Adobe Flash Builder for Force.com development environment and built this Flash UI that brings together all the data out of the Salesforce database. So they took a charting widget and built this really cool graph, and then they changed the way that you can navigate around this part of the interface. And here we can see the number of different cases that are coming in from our different channels, like Twitter, for example. Okay, this is another example of a custom application that was built. It runs natively on Force.com. It's an e-commerce site, and here we can see some of their product catalog. And instead of building a plain old shopping cart, they built this great drag and drop shopping cart where you can drag products in. And here you can see that it's totaling things up, so you can actually push some of the business logic out onto the client here inside of the browser if needed. And so this is all running within Adobe Flash, but all served up natively from Force.com. Okay, this is the last example I wanted to show you. It's a desktop application running natively on my Mac here. I can take this on the road with me. I don't have to be connected to the internet. It's not running inside of the browser. I have a local copy of all my data here, so I can look up a doctor in my local application here. I can see some of the places where he works. I can plan a visit to his office and even take him through some slides that are embedded here in the presentation. I can order some samples. So here are all the drugs that are available. I'll put in an order. I can even get a signature from the doctor with this really cool Flash signature capture. Close this out, and most importantly, when I go back online, I get to Starbucks or say I get back to the office, I can click this login button, and it will log into my Salesforce.com account and synchronize all the data so it can process that order for samples, it can store that signature, and do everything else that's necessary to sync up with the backend server. And we make building this kind of app really easy with the Adobe Flash Builder Force.com. Okay, just to wrap up, we made this announcement on the 26th of October. It's a release preview of the product. You can download it from developer.force.com, and we're shooting to have it generally available sometime in the first half of 2010. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing what you build with it.